It's a long time since I've been here. I actually have been away overseas and came back quite ill actually. My voice is still coming right, but it'll take time. I guess there's a lot of bugs out there at the moment, isn't there? I just remember to put my gloves on. I always forget to put my gloves on, and I end up with these hands that look dreadful, and nails. I try to keep my nails nice, but that doesn't work. Anyway, I've been working on these two. These are landscapes. They're not finished, but I'll just bring them up. Now, what I've done is I set out what I wanted. I've used a bit of mixed media to create some of these lines, used rulers to put in some dark, sharp lines against others, but it just hasn't, it's just not quite right. So when you look at the, excuse me, I'm going to bring this over. When you look at the colour wheel, most of the colours here are within this range, and I think it needs, there's a little bit of orange there, it needs massive contrast or darker shades maybe down here, actually give it more of a wow factor. It's just not working, you can see that. And this is me analysing my own work, which is quite hard because you're quite attached to it and it's just hard to look and think, what does it need? So I've just decided I'd have a little bit of a play today. I've got some black and a bit of green, the lighter green and that orange, which I might throw in as a complementary colour to all those colours on the colour wheel as I showed you. This is the tonings mainly here, and there's your contrast, the reddy orangey shade with these tonings, the blue and the blue-green, this lighter green, even the purple could come through the red, the orangey red. So we'll see. Okay, so in here I've also got Hooker's green. And I don't think I should bring another green in there. I think I should mix with this toner, which is already in there, with black, and get a really deep shade. So I'm mixing the two just gently to see what happens. And we're just going to no, not happy with that. So anything you're not happy with, you put on, you look at it, and I've got a wet cloth here with water, and you can take it off straight away, pretty well straight away. So you haven't lost anything. I think it needs to go into a deeper blue shade. Just looking at that, it's just not working because you've got this sea here, and I think I need more of a deep bluey shade. So let's go across to back to our paints here. And again, it's all a matter of experimentation. You just have to just keep playing, keep working, and keep seeing what might or may not work. I've got a nice phthalo turquoise that actually would look quite good in that, putting in some really deeper shades. And this time I'm going to use my sponge. Sponges are quite good to use. This is a very grubby sponge, but they never, you can never stop using them. They just keep going on and on. This is a very bright turquoisey shade. So we're going to see what happens if we put a bit of this into here. Use your hands. Don't be afraid. It's like I'm putting on a little bit of a, what would you call it, like a bit of a light colour. I can't think. I'm not really thinking very clearly, even after being sick for so long. So I'll just put it on here. It's like putting a shade. Now that's looking better already. It's giving you a beautiful, deeper contrast. So you can see possibly where the sea comes up against the land. It is and we just run it here. Now that's, and a little bit of that shading in here, so it's not out of nowhere. We need to, now that's looking a lot better, isn't it? You can almost feel that it's got a bit more depth to it, a bit more contrast. I think that's what it needed. I think the trouble here was the shades were too similar. There's not enough contrast in the whole thing. And that's looking a lot better, that one there. But it still needs some more contrast, I think, up there. And that could be where that deep green comes in. So I'm going to try that green again with a little bit of black and see what happens. And a little bit of blue mixed into it too. That might just give it a little bit more oomph. We'll see what happens here. Whoa, okay. Yes, you've got your darker green coming through. And we'll just keep going with this. Whoa, wow. Don't be afraid to use your hands, okay, because and that's why we need the gloves, of course, because okay, now let's see how that's working. I think that's looking a lot better. It's got more depth, it's got more contrast. I'd like to see some more darkness around this area here, and that was black. So I'm going to get some black and mix it in with that turquoisey shade. And just trying to link it across so it looks as though there's a bit of a definition of cliffs and things there. There's the seas, and we'll get the sea coming up against there later. You know, when the sea's pounding into the rocks and into the background, you need to, I think, we need to get some white flecks of paint through here that might bring it up and make it look a bit more interesting. Let's put a little bit of this here, just to darken it. I'm trying to create contrast within the colours, but contrast. So you've got the contrast of the light versus the dark, the contrast of the beautiful colours. And so the value contrast, it means that the colours stand out more. Okay. Yeah. Well. And this is just, it's looking a lot better than it was. It's standing out more. I'm going to try flicking some white paint into here soon and just see what happens as though the waves are coming and crashing up. But you can actually see more definition now, can't you? Compared to this one here, down here, that just looks like it's faded into nothing. So I think still a lot of work to do on this, but I think it's looking a lot better than it was. I'd like to get some of that white paint I talked about, using the palette knife here, right? And I need to find my white paint. It's somewhere over here. Yep, there it is. Right, here we go. Now it's virtually straight out of the container, the white paint. It's a big container, Italia, of white. I use a lot of white, and I think most artists do. Once you get into the flow, you just keep using more and more white. Now, we're going to see how this goes. See why I've got my gloves on, can't you? Could you imagine what my hands would be like by now? Absolute disaster. So we're going to have a bit of a flick through here. Oh, nothing's happening. Right, okay. Probably because it needs a bit of water. Oops. Blobs. Oh dear. Yeah. not working, is it? So we're just using our little cloth here, take that out. I think I need some flow medium onto the white, flow medium. That might loosen it up a bit because it's too thick, far too thick. And that's why it came out in a big blob. And these are things you just trial and error, you just keep working through and just keep seeing what needs to be done next. Yeah, life is always a lot of learning to do with art, a lot of experimenting, a lot of playing, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just playing. And don't be afraid, oh, I might ruin it. If you do it, what do? You just get the rag like I showed you and just take it out. It's no big problem. And if you don't like it, you can just paint over the whole thing and start again. So that's what the beauty of acrylics is. Acrylics are wonderful because they're so versatile. So here we go, we're going to get a little bit. I think it needs a bit more there. Put it around here too, so it's not just standing out as though, why is that got some white there, the others don't have it. Right, it's very subtle. There's a couple of big blobs there that I don't like, so I'm going to take those out, like here. Okay, and I'll just use my fingers like this. As you know, any ocean is not just static. Ocean moves, so you've got to think about movement, and that's what I'm doing here, is just moving, like waves crashing up, you know. Alright, now let's see how that's going. You just stand back, look. There you are, there's just very subtle white coming through. I think it's a lot better. Not sure about here. I think it's too much like that when I'm looking at it now, and I think a glaze might be good to put on that. And I'm thinking this green, a little bit there. It's actually an ink. I use a lot of inks for glazes. I find that works very well for me, but everybody's got their own little tricks. This is Liquitex, and it's Hooker's Green. And it's a great colour, it's quite a deep colour. So I'm just going to use it, put it onto my gloves and see what happens. You see I'm glazing part of this. Right. Now, actually, I quite like that a lot better with a bit of a glaze through it, and we can just put a little bit around the place of this green, this Hooker's Green, just so things just work, and the colour goes all over and your eye goes around. I think that's better. I think it's looking better already. You've got that colouring in there, a little bit more Hooker's Green over here. You need to just make the painting look a little bit coordinated, otherwise it just looks like it's a bit of a mess of everything. Okay, now where we are. Sometimes you need to just stand back. Stand back and leave your art for a while and don't look at it too much more. I really like the contrast here, and I'd like to see a brighter colour like that coming through, perhaps across. Now we've got pretty grubby gloves here. I don't want to use my dirty hands, so I'll get my old cloth, see this time? It's got a bit of water on it. And I've got that beautiful orangey tone, which is, where was it? Here. this is a complete complement here to the green. It's Viridian, is it Viridian? Sorry, I can't read it. Heavens about Vermilion, and it's Jo Sonia. It's a beautiful colour, very bright, quite vibrant, and I think that's why I love it. And I put it in quite a lot of my work just to give it that wow factor. So we've got it here. And I'm just going to run just a tiny bit of it. And especially here, I think it needs to run across the sea. It's like anything, if you've got, you know, clouds and sunset with tonings, they're not all equal, they'll be all over the place. So you don't want the same marks all the time. You need to do a little bit of mark contrasts here in different looks. And you don't want it everywhere, otherwise it's just, well, it'll kill it. You don't want to do too much. The tendency is to do an awful lot, and I do tend to do that, so I try to stop myself. And just, yeah. And I'll leave that. That's the tiniest little bit. See where we're at using this palette here. Now let's have a good look at it. Yeah, I think it's looking a lot better. I think that's toning in and taking it through. The idea is contrast and to complement. So you've got a lot of complementary colours, the blues, the greens, all the different greens. And then you've got the opposite, the complement, which is the orange coming through. So that's what we're achieving there. Now, I would highly suggest that you now stop. You want to keep going, you're on a roll, no. Put it away. We're going to come back and look at this in a few more days, not today. So we don't need to rush it. If you want to do some work, you could actually end up painting some of the sides. I might do that later. Always try and keep your sides nice, and because the colour there is awful, it doesn't match at all. It needs to be a nice dark toning. And the next one, I'll leave this here. You can see now, this one here, comparing to this. So again, we're going to do the same. We're going to do some work on this one now. And this one is just blobs of everything. And the colours. How this became blobby-like is because I used spray paint. I did my design, worked out my focal points up around the third and that. I put the contrast of the light and dark and the sharp lines and the soft lines. But it's very blobby. You can see here, it looks a bit blobby. And I just need to fix it. So you can see, I like it, don't get me wrong, but I think there's room for improvement. Like that's improved out of sight from those little bits I've done. But I think I'm going to have to tone the colour down looking at this here. So I think it's going to need some toning down, some greying. It's almost like landscape is not natural, those colours. And we know that, so I need to get some colours toned down, maybe especially around here. So to tone down your colours, you need to create some neutral colours. So it's putting the contrast together, which is the green and the orange, and turning it into some sort of grey tone, which I'll show you later, I think. Not now, because you've had 18 minutes, probably enough for me. So thanks for watching, and we'll just keep improving and working on these paintings. Thank you. Bye-bye.